Hello, everyone. Welcome to Culinary Traditions of the Diáspora Latinoamericana. I'm Lisa Martin with Silver Spring Town Center, and we're so happy to have you joining us. We have a diverse array of panelists to share their family food stories from across the hemisphere. And our hosts, our co-hosts, Jannelle, Cortés, and her mom, Belkis, could not be here today, unfortunately, due to unexpected travel. So Jannelle is one of SSTCi's board members, and she owns this awesome travel company called Groove Trips. So check it out. But we will have more time for the other panelists who are on, and I will invite perhaps someone who's done this once before to get us kicked off. And she's a dear friend and board member of Silver Spring Town Center, hailing from Brazil, Yanni Campos. Take it away, Yanni.
Hello, everybody. It's so fun. It's always so fun to be in these panels, mainly to hear the stories, because at the same time that we are from different countries and so many things, and when we start to tell our stories of childhood, relationship with relatives and neighbors and toys, and it's so common how we humans are so emotional around the food, right? So I'm looking forward to hear stories. And I was trying to remember some things from my childhood, and I remember the story of, the acai. Now here in the US, it's very common. People eat this acai bowls, and it's like that tiny fruit. It's a tiny fruit, purple fruit in Brazil, at the extreme north of Brazil, and Amazon forest, let's say. It's not exactly Brazil, but on the whole, Amazon forest. And I was born in Brasilia. My parents are from the border with Bolivia and border with Suriname, extreme north of Brazil. And I was born in Brasilia, in the middle of the country. So for us, it was always an adventure wait for my relatives to come from Pará, from Rondônia, from the north states, and to visit us, because it's been always cheaper to travel to the US than to travel to Brasilia from other parts of Brazil. So we waited for those relatives to come to visit, and we put the Sunday clothes to wait for them. Mommy got us dressed, and then we waited and waited and waited. And so it's always like that. They would bring jackfruit preserves, jackfruit sweets, and then this time was this acai. And I was so curious. I want to eat this. How does it look like? And my mom could describe, and it was very lively in her memory, and how the indigenous people eat it, because such a strong fruit, right? It's a superfood. So I kept waiting, so enthusiastically, going to the window and waiting. So there come my aunts, and you have to behave, because you better behave, right, in front of the in front of your guests and all. But I couldn't wait for that. And so while they were talking, I went to sneak slowly from the backyard, I'm gonna try this thing. Finally, I got to this little pot of a little container, and there was this thing that looked like mud. And I was like, is this acai? I look so disappointed. When I ate it, it tasted like a little bit like, wet, like mud. And I was so disappointed because, like acai, they all spoke so highly about it. And it's so interesting because that's how it tasted. I don't know how many of you guys already tasted like the raw natural thing. And then my mom came to the kitchen, everybody, because even those days it's kind of difficult to get a hold of it in the rest of the country, right? Now I think in the whole world they eat like the pulp, the frozen pulp of acai. So I was very disappointed. And my mom prepared and she fried fish. And so they eat that with fried fish. And so you eat and it's really makes you feel bulky and, like in your stomach, because then you eat with cassava flour, toasted cassava flour. And that's it. It was a meal. And I was like, okay. My mom was so happy. So many years passed, like once in a while I heard of acai, and I was teaching at Georgetown. And then a student later on, of course, many years later, I used to teach Portuguese there. And one of my students was showing the project that Japan had to patent, to pay for the rights to produce acai as if it were their fruit. And I was like, that's incredible. That's a fruit from the Amazon forest, belongs to us, to everybody. And my surprise to see how people eat in other places with which is, don't let my mom hear, but it's taste it's nicer with like in a bowl with fruits and condensed milk, and it tastes. And she's not hearing, because it's like, and she doesn't speak English. So don't tell them that this tastes like mud, like it smells like, but it's a nice mud. It's a nice feeling. That's earthy. Let's say beautifully. That's earthy. Like, so that's acai. That was my story with acai. And nowadays I go to places and there's a Brazilian store here in Wheaton. And people are even Brazilians are so happy eating the bowl with fruits and all. And I always remember my disappointment eating that big spoonful of mud, of that earthy thing, earthy. So, yeah, and for me, for a longer time, I would mix that taste of wet soil with the stories about the mythical creatures from the forest. There was Invisible City. There is a series on Netflix that's called Invisible City. And it's from Brazil, and it shows this mythic creatures from the forest that protect the forest, and mix a little bit with African tradition, Yorubas in Brazil. So I think acai fits that taste, or that sense of something that's mysterious, and it's too human sometimes, or too real sometimes. And for me, that was my 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 story of disappointment with acai. And then after that, acquired a taste, because you say, oh, it's earthy and it's a superfood. So if you have a chance, any of you guys have had acai? I
I've
think
had
Veronica.
it. I've had it in Brazil, Yanni, and the thing that surprised me the most was um they they have acai. I was always calling it acai, but
Yes, that's acai, but here in the US they call it acai. So
oh, okay. I always hear
acai.
acai by Americans
Hmm.
too, or English speakers. But yeah, they had the acai flavored shakes at McDonald's. And then
See,
in the ice cream, I noticed a lot of things flavored. And this is like 20 years ago. Now it's trendy,
yeah.
it's trendy
So
flavor. It's healthy for you, right?
yeah, it's a superfood.
Yeah.
When I tasted it, it was a little long later than like many years ago, more than 20 for sure, because I was a kid. But yeah, so I've been seeing it. It's like purple, and sometimes it mixes with what is it? Blueberry, which is a superfood too, right? But acai,
Right.
it's really strong when you eat that. They make like a like a paste, like a paste. So for me, it was interesting experience. And I was like, I'm going to try not to talk bad about acai around the world, but I don't like the taste.
I don't like how it tastes either, and I would say it tastes like a
You don't
berry.
say that. You
I
say
know,
that
I don't, you're not
I'm
supposed
not
to say it.
acquainted. I'm not accustomed to the.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, sometimes if it's mixed but it has a sort of pomegranate taste, maybe. I don't know. What does it taste like?
Yeah,
Oh,
the true thing when when you blend the pulp of the fruit itself, it's a kind of muddy a little
like
bit.
mud. Yeah, you said mud.
Yeah.
Oh
I want to
gosh.
just encourage anybody to try the real thing, but that was my impression, and I have that story with acai.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you want to try the, I don't know, the pulp, frozen, with the nice things, the Brazilian
right.
store in Wheaton has that, right across
The,
from the red line.
the Brazilian store in Wheaton has it. Yeah, and Whole Foods has so many different things with acai in it also. And well, yeah, that was good to hear um about that. Well, we'll probably talk more about Brazil. And I meant to mention that Yanni's, oh, we need to mute folks who are coming in if you're not talking. Um, um, Yanni is also, she's a professor of Portuguese for the diplomats, foreign service folks, and also a fan of caipirinhas and lover of churrascaria. So I can't argue that. So yeah. Fogo de chão, here I come.
Yes. So,
Whenever anybody invites me to Fogo de Chão, I go. So anyway, thank you, Yanni. And we're
oh,
not going to,
Victoria likes fogo de chão too, Victoria. See?
right. Well, we're
And
not,
Sergio Mendes, just to get the musical part in there
oh yes. And he just
from a long
passed.
time ago. I know. It breaks my heart. I love that. I grew up with that music.
Well, we're not going in any particular order, so I'd like to call up Veronica Gonzalez, who's from El Salvador, to speak next, and she is a data and compliance. She does data and compliance for Title III for DC Public Schools, and she's a gardener and foodie. Take it away, Veronica.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for having me and for my dear friend and neighbor who suggested I join you guys tonight. I was very excited when she said, she attends these meetings and we always talked about food and gardening and I think that's what's has giving us a strong bond. But I was thinking about like, what can I talk about when it comes to food and traditions? And there's so many things I can think of when it comes to food, but I was having these memories of my father. We grew up in a town in El Salvador where we're known for the businesses. So everybody in our hometown brings like their vegetables or their fruits and their seafood, and they come to sell it in our town. A lot of people travel to our town on Tuesdays to buy the, I guess, like cattle and horses and food and that sort of thing. So in my memories, I remember seeing people when I was a child on our street because our house is right at in a center of the town, and I grew up with my father in his hometown, which is also my hometown. And these folks would come in their cars and they would come and sell all sorts of fruits. And my father would always be on a Saturday or Sunday morning and he would say, guys, we got to get up early and see Mr. Campos because he's going to come by and we're going to have to get some plantains. So every morning on the weekend, we knew that we had to get up early on a Sunday to get plantains because they would have the best plantains, not the green ones, but it would be the yellow ones that are ripe, so you can fry them. And so we would have plantains every day of the week. It was like for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. You have it all day long. And I know I could talk about other food, but I just want to focus on this because for breakfast, you fry the plantains and you eat them with your refried beans. And you also get the cheese. We have this fresh Salvadorian cheese that we also have in the mornings. And you can get avocados, but you have to have your tortilla, right? I don't do that as much, but I love the plantains. I just when I go to either Giant or here around here, Safeway, or I never get the right plantains. You got to go to the Latin stores to get the plantains, because you can have the plantains in soups, in your beef soups, also in your black bean soup. You can add them with your red beans. So eating fried plantains for me brings me back to El Salvador. If I go somewhere in the morning and I want to have a traditional breakfast, where here you would have your pancakes and your sausages. In El Salvador, you have your fried plantains and you'd have your beans and you have your cream and your sour cream, your Salvadorian cream. And so those are the memories that I have of like my good breakfast. So that's a good breakfast to me. Thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. Good to hear
Just the
about
smell of fried plantains, right? Already
Yeah.
makes you have some, right? Everybody knows it.
Yes. Yes, and I get them. One of my favorite dishes at El Golfo restaurant, which is owned by Ada Villatoro, who is on our advisory board. El Golfo on Flower Avenue. They have sopa de res, which is delicious. And I'm usually always on a low carb diet, so I usually say hold the plantains and the yuca and and just give me more cabbage. But it's not as flavorful maybe, but it's still actually delicious. I like it like that too. And it's healthy. So check out the sopa de res at El Golfo next time you go. They also have she has wonderful fish soup as well. People rave, and chicken soup. Sopa Azteca. How about my friend from Ecuador, an old friend of mine I saw this weekend at the OAS for Partners of the Americas Gala, 60th anniversary gala, and she's representing Ecuador. Say hello, give a warm welcome to Margarita from Ecuador, who's a Montessori school teacher, Spanish teacher. And I forgot, what was your favorite food description?
Soup lover.
Soup lover, right? Me too.
Well, it's nice to see you, Lisa, and it's so great to see you, Ayani. Haven't seen you for so many years. I was just recalling that the last time that I saw you was in your daughter's birthday party. Maybe she was turning 6 years old. I don't know. This is very, very long time ago. But I'm so happy to be here. And when I talk about food, I have to talk about family. I was raised and growing up in Ecuador, in Quito, the capital, and when I came here as an adult to the United States when I was 20 years old. And I'm going to be here in DC for 24 years. So I am almost even up the time that I was in Ecuador and now in Washington, DC, which is my beloved city where my 2 daughters were born when I got married here. So to me, when you say food, in my mind, immediately I have the taste and the smell of soups. Why? Because I am from Quito, it's the Andes, it's like 70 degrees all year long. We have sun from 6 to 6 every single day of the year. We don't have seasons, which means that we have fruits and vegetables all year long. So you can prepare whatever you want all year long. You just have to go to the market and pick up the ingredients. One of my favorite soups, it's called locro de papas, which is a potato soup. So Ecuador and Peru are very well known for very good potatoes. So has a little cheese, and you can eat with avocado, which is one of my favorite soups. And then another soup that I really like is called sancocho, and that has corn, green plantains, yuca, and all other vegetables like carrots and little green peas. And so we used to have these lunchtime during the weekends visiting my grandparents. So all the family went with all my uncles and cousins. And so that's also the memory that I have food with family. And so I miss them a lot, and I miss these amazing soups. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Great. Okay, so tell us what soups you cook for your family, Margarita.
Yeah, so I do mostly what we have in season. So I am very excited about fall, because fall we can have the pumpkin. So now I do like my style of pumpkin soup. Instead of the potatoes, I do a pumpkin soup. But I can do the potato soups very often. And I do chicken soups with all sorts of vegetables. So to be honest, my daughters were not big fans of soups. So when I cook soup, it's basically for me and Matt, my husband. But yeah, so this is what I do in trying to cook fresh. I'm very happy to live very close to Eastern Market here in Washington, D.C. So every weekend I go to the farmers market, where you can find all sorts of great fruits and vegetables.
You made me think of I lived in DC for 40 years. So I'm a DC girl in my heart. And I remembered I used to teach at a school in DC in the early 90s at a school named Hine Junior High School. It no longer exists. I think right now that place is like I think it's a grocery store there. And going to Eastern Market was just wonderful, because every day at lunchtime, the teachers and I would go over to get lunch. And it would be great to see like people with their arts and craft at the time, not as humongous as it is now. It's like a festival that every weekend, right? Where they have clothes off the streets and those streets with pebbles and like cobbles, cobblestones. Like it's just you just took me back to that street when I was in I guess I don't know if it was grad school or college, one of them, but when I was in school, and I was working at this school for 2 years, and it was called the School of Excellence. But I remember going to that market and get that fresh fish and the fresh vegetables. Oh, it was just wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. You made me want to go to your house and be your friend now after,
Just come anytime.
Great. Yeah, I personally make soups with different mushroom soups.
Oh.
And my alternative practitioner told me I need to eat more mushrooms according to traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm in high gear right now, having my different mushroom soups that I make. So, oh, now I'm really hungry. Well, let's go to one of the islands. How about Puerto Rico? And we'll call up Marily Mojica, artist Marily Mojica, another good friend, and she's a New Yorican, right?
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
good to see you, Marily. Take it away.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, but I'm very connected to the island. My parents insisted that my brother and I speak Spanish. In fact, we weren't allowed to speak English inside the home. And I grew up with all the foods, the traditional rice and beans, pernil. I would say I have my favorites are the holidays, certain dishes. I guess what Americans would call rice pudding, but it's in the Puerto Rican culture, the rice pudding, which call arroz con dulce, is cooked with coconut milk, ginger, sugar, vanilla. There's more of a process to it, raisins, than there is the version of American rice pudding. So I'm very connected to that because we usually have it during the holidays. But what I could say about Puerto Rico is that our food, the reason I consider it special is because we are a mixture of African, indigenous, and the Colombia. Most of our it started with Colombia, although we do have some influence by the Dutch and the French. So our foods, in many ways, we can connect. Like when I go to eat of other cultures, I could find a flavor that I'm very used to in the foods that we're used to, if I'm making any sense. Again, I'm very connected. When I first got here to DC, it was really hard for me to find Giant and Safeway were not carrying Hispanic foods. And I found a lot of my foods in African stores. I would go to Langley Park and look for African stores, and they always had the yame, the yuca. They just had all the foods that they had different names for it, but they had the foods that I was used to eating. My favorite Puerto Rican drink is called Mavi, which is made from the bark of, I forgot, it's a tree. I think it's the Moby tree, but the bark is removed and then you boil it, and it takes anywhere between 9 days to 2 weeks for the drink to foam itself, and it's where you can taste it with you add sugar, make it sweet, but it almost has the taste of a beer because it has that foamy, that acid that the beer has. Anyway,
fermented taste.
fermented, that's the word, fermented. It's my favorite Puerto Rican drink. So I love my foods because they have stories behind them. They have stories, and it connects you to the island. It's the closest you can be to the island when you eat those foods that you know you can only find there, and you make them here. It's kind of special. It's special. And again, Giant and Safeway have improved a little bit, but we like to cook a lot of fresh food. We like the cilantro, the leaves fresh, made into, sofrito. We like the fresh garlic, so we don't always like the can and the bottled products. At least for my family, everything was fresh. The planters, whatever it was fresh. It was never frozen. So although Giant has somehow caught up, it's still not the same as eating the foods traditionally cooked by someone from Puerto Rico. So I hope I answered. I gave some information.
Yeah, Marley, how do you spell the drink that you're
Mavi is spelled Mavi.
Mavi? Okay, I'm gonna have to
We're
try
the only ones that make it. You never find it in the States unless you go to a Puerto Rican neighborhood. Like if you're in the Bronx, you might find an older woman who makes it. If you're in Hawaii and you go into a Puerto Rican neighborhood, or even Chicago, if you go into that Puerto Rican neighborhood, you might find it, but it's because they have to transport the bark of the tree here. You don't always get it, And it
So you
has to be done in the
here.
summer. It has to be done in heat. That's the other thing. It has to be let out in the heat. So you can't get it here for, during the winter. But you get it in Puerto Rico year round because they always have the sun to put it out,
Okay, that's good to know. So when I visit Puerto Rico, I'm gonna look for Mavi.
Mhm.
Yeah, great.
Well,
Well,
one thing when I was in Puerto Rico recently, what I found is that you have to go into the island, because if you are in San Juan or Carolina, and one of the city places, they've gotten very Americanized. You can find a McDonald's, a pizza, you can find anything Americanized, but to find those foods, you got to go into where the people live, not where the tourists are, but where the people live that eat and drink and make those stuff.
so is there a place you recommend locally for Puerto Rican food?
No, but I will say that if you want to list it somewhere, I can probably find someone. My girlfriend just started dating someone who said that there is a Puerto Rican restaurant here in DC. I haven't found one. I haven't found one. There used to be one in Columbia Heights, but actually what they were, they cooked something from all the different islands and they closed. But no, I can't recommend one here. But I guess I could talk to my girlfriend to find out, where her boyfriend was talking about. Yeah. I since I cook, I eat myself. I don't have any Puerto Rican friends here, and I find myself sometimes missing my language, unless I talk to, like, I have a Cuban friend, if you're Dominican, but unless I, talk to my mother on the phone or a family member, even my name, like I was saying, my name is disappearing because everybody says Marilee, because that's the best way to pronounce it in English. So it's like I'm losing that part of me as I get older and people, more spread, or my my grandmother passed, my father passed, the people that I was connected to are passing. So that part of me is sort of disappearing in a way.
And how does your family say your name?
It's Marili.
Mari?
Marili.
Marili, yeah.
Marili, yeah.
Marili,
Yeah.
I'm
A
going
lot
to
of people have
connect
a
you with
problem
someone.
that- A lot of people have a problem rolling the R. And so, and I
Mari.
hate my name butchered. And so I say, just say Marilee.
Yeah.
Marili, I'm going to connect you with a girlfriend of mine who's older than I am.
Uh-huh.
And she's a true Puerto Riqueña. She's lived in DC for at least 50 years.
Okay.
But she knows all the restaurants, all where the Puerto Ricans go. I have to connect you with her. You have to connect because Puerto Rico's got to stick together. So,
Well, one of the things I like about Lisa is that she connects people and follows up on people. When I did automatic this year, this woman gave me her number because she was Puerto Rican, lived in Virginia. And she says, "What do you mean you don't know any Puerto Ricans here?" And I was like, "I don't," And now that you're talking, I think I like to at least reach out to her and say, because I don't meet any Puerto Ricans here. You have a lot of Salvadorians here, people from Guatemala here. Not like if you're in New York, half of the Puerto Ricans have moved to New York, so you see them all over, but here that doesn't seem to be the case,
we're the third largest in the country, just so you know. And I deal with data for DC Public Schools. So I could tell you a little bit more, but.
What nationality are you? I lost her. What nationality are you?
Muted.
I'm El Salvadorian.
Salvadorian, yeah, okay. You guys make the pupusa.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, and Leda wrote in the chat, there's a Puerto Rican restaurant called La Famosa in Navy Yard. We're gonna have to go.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
Plan.
all of us, we'll have to, I'll plan a trip over. Now,
That's
let's journey back to El Salvador with Chef Miguel Lara.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Hi, Chef Miguel. Tell us about, he's got an impressive, he's an executive chef and with extensive knowledge of Latin American culinary traditions and originally from El Salvador, but can cook anything from Latin America, pretty much, and culinary photographer as well. That must be.
I might put him to a test. If he can cook anything, I might put him to a test.
So that's something new that COVID brought into my life, photography. So I've been in the food industry for about 30-something years. I grew up in a very small town in El Salvador. It's called Corinto. It's right across the border from Honduras. And my grandmother used to make this dish called pollo guisado. So I think my journey with food started there. I came to the US and I worked for Marriott for 19 years. I was first bar manager, room service manager, director of catering. Then I became a chef, then an executive chef, through the years. But that dish was always there. And it's a very simple dish. I can actually give you the recipe because I made it so many times. And although the memory that I have was when I was in El Salvador as a little kid. It was a chicken that it was stewed with tomato sauce, garlic, oregano, and she added a little touch of mustard. I think that mustard thing was so addictive. I will never forget that. Then through the years, you know, I said, well, why this chicken was so delicious that you know, that I can never forget about it. And you know, every country has a pollo guisado, a chicken stew. I went to the south of Italy, and they had this dish called chicken cacciatore. It was exactly the same dish that my grandmother made with olives and a little basil. But I think, you know, I went also to Mexico, and they make a picadillo. They add dried chiles to the tomatoes, and it's the same dish with dried chiles. So the technique that my grandmother used to use to make it extra delicious was to sear the chicken, the dark chicken first, and cook the tomatoes after for 30 minutes. And it's the same. I think I eventually will write a book that will say chicken stew cooked 100 ways, because you only need like 3 basic ingredients to make it delicious, and you can twist it if you add another one. So you can add wine to it. You can add dried chiles to it. You can make it with olives. You can make it with sun-dried tomatoes. It all depends. You know, I mean, in France, they add artichokes instead of the olives. So that's a memory of my childhood with this dish that it's, you know, it started in El Salvador. But, you know, I mean, if you think about it, we have European influence when we cook. Many of the dishes, you know, are the Spaniards brought the recipes, and then we continue. 300 years ago, we were one whole continent. Mexico was all the way down to Panama, and we make tortillas in many different ways. Gorditas in Mexico, pupusas in El Salvador, arepas when I've been to Colombia, and I have cooked in Colombia, you know, with my family. Arepas, it's a masa, very similar. It is all the technique from the Mayas, and it's a delicious cuisine. So happy to be here. If you want the recipe, I do have a book, and I can share it with you, all of you.
You have a book out, Miguel?
I wrote a book during COVID. Yeah, and it has 40 recipes in English and Spanish. I think you know my wife. My wife is Paula Pero. She's the World Languages Department of Einstein High School.
Right, and she's in charge of the Salseros Titanes. She's teaches the salsa dancing too.
She doesn't teach, she volunteers. But
She volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does a great job.
Yeah, amazing.
They're
Yep.
wonderful dancers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Paula put me in touch with you, I guess, and maybe with somebody else. I think maybe someone else. But wow, well, great. Well, please put your book in the chat. So
Margarita, I wanted to ask you, Margarita, what is the recipe for pollo guisado en Ecuador?
El pollo guisado se lo hace con el refrito, que es con cebolla y ajo y achote, y de ahí se pone las presas de pollo, se le sofríe un poco, y de ahí se le añade agua, se le deja hervir, y de ahí añades más vegetales. Se puede hacer alberjas, zanahoria, a cebolla, y de ahí lo sirves con arroz blanco.
It's an amazing dish for winter,
Ajá.
just like the soups, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I spoke in Spanish, but
Maybe you could quickly translate what you said, Margarita.
sure. So for the Miguel asked me how do we do the chicken stew in Ecuador. So we do what we call a sofrito. So you put in olive oil or vegetable oil with red onions and garlic, finely chopped, and then you add the pieces of chicken. So you fry it a little bit, and then you add water with salt and pepper. And when it's cooked, then you add, if you can, fresh green peas or frozen. If you cannot find, a slice of carrots and a little bit more of onions. So you let it steam, season if needed more, and then you serve with white rice. And you can also add some fried plantains, the yellow plantains that Veronica was talking about for breakfast. You can do that also, and it's delicious.
Lisa, how do I get unmuted? I don't know how to get unmuted
You're
here.
unmuted right now. We can hear you.
Oh, when he was talking, what I was going to say that in Puerto Rico, we do that, but we use sofrito, which I guess somebody was mentioning onions and leaves, cilantro. We use sofrito with it. We also use olives, but we put potatoes in it. We put potatoes in it. Yeah. And that's served over white rice. Somebody said the white rice.
Yeah.
That's how we eat it also with white rice.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention the sofrito also has the what is called the red pepper, the achote.
Pimiento. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pimiento.
the red,
Right.
red spice. Yeah.
But you said water. We use very little water and let it steam.
I've seen how your Puerto make it.
So
I also forgot to add, Miguel, did your mom ever add like a little bit of cumin to the chicken? El comino, because that's key to the pollo guisado in El Salvador.
So we have this mix of spices in El Salvador called relajo, you know, and it's relajo because nobody really knows what's in it, but it has bay leaves, peppers, dried chilies. Our cuisine has a lot of influence from Mexico, you know. We just change the names. We just change, you know, we call it relajo. In Mexico will be guajillo, chile ancho, all those dry chilies from Mexico. In El Salvador, we call it relajo. And we put that into the tamales as well. But there are dry spices. They're very unique and delicious.
And since you mentioned this connection with Mexico, I was in the Yucatan for the first time, and I've been in various parts of Mexico. I'm going to Oaxaca for Dia de los Muertos. I'm very excited. But there are different, you know, Mexico has so many different kinds of food, more than kind of the street food that we see mostly in the US. So would you say that the El Salvadoran was closest to the Yucatan food, maybe?
We're so close to Mexico. I mean, we work with a lot of matzah, with corn, you know, tamales. We twist it a little bit sometimes, but the cuisine in Mexico, I mean, it originated there. And a lot of the tomatoes, garlic, cumin. I like food with cumin. Sometimes I put too much cumin, you know. But yeah, we definitely have a lot of influence from the Yucatan. In Mexico, they make gorditas, and gorditas originated many years ago. And they are tortillas stuffed with beef or cheese, and they look pretty much like a pupusa, very similar. So I don't know if we copy. I mean, we're a new country. We are how many years old are we? Under 300 years, and Mexico has been there 1,000-something years. I mean, they do have a long tradition of gastronomy. They make amazing ceviche. For some time, I worked for this event in DC called the Taste of Peru of Washington. I was the culinary director for that event for 8 years, and I went in there, to learn from Peru. But also Mexico makes amazing ceviche. Ecuador makes amazing ceviche. Colombia makes, every country makes amazing ceviche. I think it's just the cook. If you go to a country and you say, oh, well, I didn't like the ceviche in that country, it's kind of hard to say that because it's the cook. You went to a place where the cook was not great and didn't understand it completely, or, but there are many places, like I've been to a place I went to a place in Panama, and I had the most amazing ceviche I ever had. And it was from Panama, but the cook there understood the technique, and it was fresh ceviche. So, yeah.
And as a chef, Miguel, what is your favorite cuisine across Latin America to cook, and what's your favorite to eat?
So I'm Salvadorian, but I think that I really love three: Mexico, Peru, and Argentina. Argentina, because my wife is, half Argentinian, and I've been there to see, a barbecue, how it's done, and and Mexico, I opened a few restaurants that are Mexican. I just opened one in downtown Silver Spring called Chidos. My dear friend Fidel owns Chidos in downtown Silver Spring, and I did some of the food presentation. Is my take on Latin American cuisine. If you see his dishes, they look pretty. They're very pretty now. It's amazing food, but presentation also plays a big part. I guess I learned that through my years in Marriott, that everything had to look beautiful as well. So Mexico, Peru, and Argentina are my, and when I say Mexico, it's all the way to Panama.
You say Cheetos?
Chidos is a
Yeah,
it's a new Mexican restaurant in downtown Silver Spring.
¿Es Cheetos o Cheetos? Puedes poner, Cheetos.
Chidos.
Chidos.
With a T. And
Chidos.
it's I believe it's Tex-Mex, if I saw.
It is Tex-Mex. His uncle was the owner of Guapos. You know Guapos? Are you familiar with Guapos? He started the company 50 years ago, and then Fidel, the owner of Chidos, worked for him for many years, and then he opened his own restaurant. Very big restaurants. These are 400 seats restaurants. Very, very beautiful, decorated, modern Oaxaca style, beautiful, colorful walls. So, yeah.
Excellent. I will go definitely.
You gotta go check it out.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna go there soon myself. Well, thank you so much, Miguel. Please put a link to your book so we can check that out.
I will.
We have another chef coming up too, Mirna, who's also from El Salvador and is with Spencerville Deli is her restaurant near Silver Spring in Montgomery County. But now we're going to Nicaragua. Let's chat with my old friend Leda Hernandez. Hi, Leda.
Hello, everybody. Hola, hola. Yeah, I'm from Nicaragua. Well, my name is Leda Hernandez. I'm from Nicaragua. I came to the United States when I was probably 15 years old. But we still have a lot of traditions. We cook very much Nicaraguans most of the days. I was listening to all my the people, the chefs that were talking today, and we have similar dishes. El pollo guisado, la pupusa, la arepa is almost the same, but different. But what I want to talk about today is a traditional dish that we do mostly on weekends, because that's the breakfast for the weekends, and they call nacatamales, which is the tamales, which is the cousins of Mexican tamales. Our tamal or nacatamal is a very big tamal, and it's about 3 or 4 days to make that dish. And so it's very traditional. We do it probably every 8 weeks or every 3 months. We do it. We just cook. My sister learned that from my grandmother, the recipe. I just help them. I just help her to fix, but it's big. The nacatamal from Nicaragua is very much masa, which is from which every tamal has. But our masa is made of we put it a lot of condiments. So we put it like papas, we put potatoes, we put lard, cheese. So the masa is very smoothie and very tasty. Also, we put a rice in the tamal. We put a pork. We do put it tomatoes, lettuce, chile, green pepper, and some area of Nicaragua. This is in the area where I grew up in Nicaragua, which is at south, Diriambas. It's a difference. So, but if you go to the center of Nicaragua, when they do tamale, they put olives, raisins. So it's a different way. So the nacatamal that we always make is a very simple one. It took at least 4 hours to cook, and it took like 3 days to prepare all the ingredients to do that. Basically, we put it in the leaf of plantain leaf, and we kind of like if we do it like a burrito things, and then we put it in the pot with a little water, so everything is steamed for 4 hours, and after that it's ready to eat. I'm very foodie. Veronica know me. We always go out and eat. I like to eat. I like to go and check out all these new restaurants. I'm probably gonna go to Cheetos. I didn't know that was open. But usually when I go to Silver Spring, I just go to El Sapo, which is a Cuban restaurant. There is a little Chinese place, so I think it's Chinese. They have
Up on the second floor.
no,
Mhm.
it's right where is the Colombian restaurant, next to the Colombian restaurant. I don't remember the name. They have very nice. This very good.
I don't think it's Chinese, it's Japanese. El japonés que íbamos. The Japanese. We used to
Yeah.
go to the Japanese one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in this area, there is maybe now is one Nicaraguan restaurant, which is in Wheaton area, but they usually in this area we didn't have any representation of restaurant, and that's why I become more foodie of other country. I love to go and eat pupusa, but that's why I when Marlene say something about Puerto Rico, I was like, yeah, you need to go to this restaurant, La Famosa. It's pretty good. I went to Puerto Rico and then I went crazy with bacalaitos. That was so good. I haven't find any bacalaito in this area. I was in Puerto Rico.
Why don't you tell us about bacalao? What you guys make the bacalao?
Who, me? No, I don't know. I usually don't cook a lot, but I like to eat. And so my cooking is more when I cook I'm more traditional Italian, French. I try to cook other people, Mexican. I try to do pupusa. And so not so much in Nicaragua. My sister is the one who does the Nicaraguan cooking and more the others, trying to other cookings. But that's my I want to talk I want to talk about that nacatamal because nobody talk about the nacatamal from Nicaragua because it's we don't have representation in here. And when you do it, it has to be the right way. But you go to Miami, there's a lot of fritangas and things like that that you can go and you can enjoy Nicaragua cuisine.
Mhm.
What is nacatamal?
Nacatamal is basically is the carne tamal,
Mhm.
but we are nacatamal, usually the tamal is just meat. Like for example, the Mexican is just there is a small masa with meat, and that's it. The Salvadorian is just a little piece of chicken. I think they put papas and garbanzo, and it's very small. The nacatamal is a big nacatamal. It's very big. It's like a full dinner or breakfast, and have all these ingredients.
Nacatamal is 10 tamales in one.
10 tamales in one.
Yeah. It's a big, you eat one and you full for the rest of the day. And
Wow.
usually we don't eat every day. We just usually is our weekend breakfast. That's our weekend breakfast in Nicaragua.
And what's distinctive about Nicaraguan food? Is there a certain spice or preparation style that's
It's similar to Mexico, except that Mexico have a lot of spices. Similar to El Salvador, like el pollo guisado, we eat rice, beans, tortilla.
How about El Chante in downtown Wheaton with my friend Pedro?
Yeah, I went there. I try.
Hold on, you
I
know
went
Pedro?
first.
He's my client. You remember I do menus, photography, and all these things. So
That's true. He was married to my sister's best friend.
oh,
Victoria have to
okay.
tell you, Vicky have to tell you more about that family. We've known them since.
He tries. He does a good job with his food, with his
Yeah.
fritanga.
It had to be. You need to be. I mean, the way. What I'm saying is, if I'm very foodie. When I have something on my mind and I remember the way that we do things in Nicaragua and come to the restaurant, and they say authentic, has to be authentic. Don't give me all this right now. Because for me, it's like, or either it's authentic or not. And you just want to do that. So I tried chante. Actually, I was on Saturday. I have a tajada con queso, which was pretty good. My sister, I think she got a maduro con sour cream and beans. That's what she wanted. And my brother-in-law have taquitos, which taquitos are different from Mexico. Our taquito is the same, it's tortilla.
Your taquitos are flautas in Mexico.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's
So what's the name of the dish where that is melted cheese? It's like melted mozzarella. So delicious.
quesillo.
Quesillo. Wow.
Yeah, that's a special cheese. Yeah, it's a really, really good. It's really, really delicious. And that's from the area of León, Nagarote. That's where the quesillo comes from.
You know, when I think about Nicaraguan food, I think it's food from an island because of all the elements and ingredients that you have with the tostadas. How you call the fried plantains? Tajadas, right?
Tajadas.
Tajadas.
It's la fritanga.
We don't make. You know why we don't make tajadas in El Salvador? It's a
Huh.
lot of work.
Yeah, we have a different component because we have this dish called arroz a la valenciana, which is made the rice, but also we put it pollo, chicken, ham. We put a lot of tomato, pasta, mostaza, ¿cómo se llaman las olives? And the other one is very, very tasty. So, and that's we have to cook in different state, not everything together. You have to do first the condiment, the frito. And so then you incorporating every single things, tomato, then onion, then carrots, and then the chicken, and then you put the salsa tomate, the mostaza, the paste, and so you cook them, and then you cook the rice, and then you put it together. So it's a very, we have a very, I mean, from Mexico to Chile, we have similar dishes all over the Latin America.
Similar flavors. I think sofrito is all over.
Yep.
And it's done in many different ways, right? But very, very similar.
Great. And Leda, you have a handle at Latin Food Lover. Tell us a little about that.
Oh no, I have an Instagram. I have a call Latina Food Lover, because when I started, I went every single restaurant to try, and also sometimes whatever dish I like, I try to cook in my house. So I do more cooking Mexico, which is the one country that I very visit a lot, and the cuisine is very different. In different state of Mexico, they have a different flavors and things. That's so I try to do that too. And also El Salvador, but we had a similar El Casamiento con el Gallo Pinto, which is the same, but they call the Casamiento, we call el Gallo Pinto.
Gallo Pinto in Nicaragua.
Sí.
And taco taco in Peru.
And so my Instagram is basically when I go out and I like dish, I took pictures and give you a review to the restaurants. And also when I post most of the time when I cook something different.
And what's your absolute favorite Latin restaurant in the DMV?
Ooh, I got a lot.
Just off the top of your head.
Well, so there is El Tamarindo, which I like the pupusa over there. That's one in DC. El Tamarindo, there was called El Techo. There is also, it's a mixed text. They have pupusa, they have tacos, they have very Tex-Mex, but also Latin America. What else? Well, El Sapo. What else is? But there's a lot Latin American that I can remember. Most of the one I used to go, they either close out because of the pandemic, or they move out from DC in this area to Casa Oaxaca. I don't know if you remember Casa Oaxaca. That was
Morgan.
And Morgan, correct?
Yeah, I used to go. It closed, I guess, right?
Yes. Ercilia, you ever Ercilia? La Churreria Madrid, Ercilia. If you go to Mamplesa, Ercilia have the best, also the best pupusa and the soup. Talking about the soup, they do have a really
hungover soups, yes.
Está Haiti.
Hades, yeah, Hades.
And has anyone been to the Tacoma Park Mexican restaurant called Cielo Rojo? I've heard really great things about it, but I haven't been over.
Yeah,
Is it
I forgot about that. It's one of the best Mexican in DC. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go there soon.
Hungry.
Go.
Or Jannelle, you can go with Jannelle.
He's from Mexico, and they say it's great. They said, "Well,
Great. Well, thank you, Leda. We have one more panelist, and then we'll have a little time for others to share or ask questions or share their own food stories from Latin America. Is Chef Mirna from El Salvador available? She might have stepped away from her computer. Hi, Mirna. Mirna is the owner of, let's see. She's the owner of a deli in.
I can share the website so people can see what she
Yeah, that
comes
would
on.
be easier. That would be great.
Oh, sharing is not turned on. Never mind.
Oh,
It's not turned on.
you can put it in the
Hola,
chat.
están esperándote en línea.
Mirna is the owner of Spencerville Deli,
Okay.
a Latin,
Spencerville Deli, there it is. And
Latin American restaurant. She's also my client. She doesn't know, but she's my client.
You're
Oh,
Oh,
right.
no, she knows. She said
Ah.
that you did on her daughter's quinces, her sweet 15th, that I actually tasted your food.
Oh,
Yeah, I went to her
Can you write in
quinces.
the chat, please?
The name?
yes, she's
Can-
so Mirna, she's here now, I think. She's here now. And she was also just in the recent Papusa Guinness Book World Record.
Yes, hello. I don't know,
Yes.
something's wrong with my video now. It doesn't, I don't know, something's wrong with my camera, but I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, Mirna, glad to have you. And you're a chef. Tell us about food that you love.
I love pupusas. When I was a little, I grew up with my grandmother since I was 11 years old. So I started to make how to make pupusas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the pupusas. Everyone familiar with what is pupusa is?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe someone,
Yeah.
there might be some people on here who aren't really sure. If you could generally tell us what they are.
Mirna, can you tell us the recipe so we can learn? Because
Okay, pupusa is like a thick, very thick tortilla, handmade tortilla, stuffed with mozzarella cheese, refried beans, or chicharrón. What is chicharrón? Chicharrón is a pork meat that we cook with the chicharrón, the pork meat with tomato, with green pepper, onion, black pepper, salt, a little bit of cumin, and a little bit of like a beef flavor. And we put everything together and then we blend it. And then that's how we stuff the pupusa.
Okay, great. And how many kinds of pupusas are there?
Original, it was only cheese and bean pupusa and chicharrón and loroco. That loroco is like a vegetable, but now they do chicken pupusa. They do all kind of pupusas. But in my restaurant, I only sell bean and cheese and pork and cheese and cheese pupusa and loroco. Only
Mirna,
those three kinds.
Mirna,
Yeah.
what kind of pupusa did you make for the Guinness record?
Oh, for the
And-
Guinness record,
And
we
how
did-
big was it? How big was the pupusa?
It was 20 foot.
20 foot long.
20 foot long.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
You know how many we spend 4 or 50 pounds of flour.
You know, I was invited and I hid because I thought it
Why?
was
You're
too much.
supposed to be there. You
was
are one of the D&B chefs.
I thought it was too much. I don't know. I couldn't sleep thinking about how you're gonna do that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it was a lot of work because we had to practice twice. One time we spent 10 hours under the sun to practice, but it was we didn't do it right because we had to heat the oven and we didn't have enough cheese, we didn't have enough spatulas.
How many pounds of cheese?
Crazy. It was 250.
250 pounds of cheese.
Yes.
Jesus.
It was a lot of work that
You
day.
can feed a whole village with that.
Yes.
So Mirna, how many people were with you guys building this mega 20
Mega
feet?
pupusa. It was
200.
around 100. It was around 100 people.
100 cooks, huh?
100 cooks, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
wasn't easy. It was hard.
So we need to
Everyone got there at 6 a.m.
plan a party for those 100 cooks. What do you think?
Yes, they did a recognition in a Mama Chepa restaurant. They invite all of us because they were proud of us what we did, because it was a lot of work. Can you imagine getting there at 6 a.m. and finish the pupusa at 4 p.m.? Record Guinness give us 4 hours, but we finished the pupusa. We cooked the pupusa in 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours to cook. Wow.
Did it taste good?
It tastes good. It tastes like pizza. It was really, really, it was like a toasty. It was amazing. I really
Mirna,
love
I
it.
saw the gas that they used to heat up the skillet. How many tanks of butane? I mean, how do you call it?
We only use 12, I don't know how many gallons are 12 tank of propane gas.
12 tanks of propane, right?
Yes,
to heat
12.
up
We
the
use 12 to finish
skillet.
to cook the pupusa, yeah.
And who built the skillet?
It was a company in Waldorf. This company, they do food truck, so they have experience. But it wasn't easy for them because it was their first time to build something that big.
That's like a $50,000, $100,000 a skillet, right?
Yes, it was.
Very, very expensive, right?
Hey,
It was
paid
very
for
expensive.
this?
Fiesta DC, they pay for everything. They spend over $100,000.
On the ingredient, with the ingredients.
Yeah, no, with the ingredient we pay like maybe 50,000, but just for the grill cost $30,000.
$30,000. Wow.
Yeah, $30,000. Oh, plus they had to pay $30,000 to Guinness to come.
Wow. You think we can bring it home, that skillet?
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I think they're gonna. What I heard that they say they're gonna put it on the internet for sale.
We can make a big paella with a skillet too.
I heard that it was a restaurant. It was a guy from North Carolina that he want to do that. He want to do the biggest paella in the world.
Yes, it will work too. Yeah.
How many people did you feed with that?
It was over 2,000 people.
2,000.
Over 2,000. It was a lot of people. It was a lot.
Mirna, if we were to come to Spencerville, what do we need to do so we can taste some of that pupusa you made?
Yeah, you guys are welcome to come anytime so I can cook refried beans pupusa chicharron. Those are the my best seller in the restaurant. People love our pupusas.
Where is your restaurant, Mirna?
It's in Spencerville. It's on the border in between Silver Spring and Spencerville, Maryland. The address is 2215 Spencerville Road, Spencerville, Maryland. And it's a Mexican restaurant. The way that I decided to keep the same name because this place has been here for over 100 years.
It's like a farm, right?
It's like a farm.
It's like
Spencerville Deli been here since 1888.
Wow. Yeah, I saw some. It looks delicious. You have a lot of tortas too on the menu, which I love.
Oh yeah, Mexican tortas.
Oh, tell her about your vinos.
Yeah, we also have local wines. We have wines from Olney. Those wines are one of my best, like very fruity wines. We sell wine to go. We sell wine in house. We also have karaoke nights. If one night you guys feel stressed out, let's come here. So
Mirna also owns a limousine. So if you get too much wine, she will send you home in the limousine.
Not anymore. We sold the business.
Oh, no more limo, eh?
Okay. No more limos. In the pandemic, we decided to sell the business.
Okay. So
Well, don't be surprised if
Restaurant.
we show up sometime soon, Mirna.
Yeah, anytime you guys are welcome to come and join me so we can have one of the local wine from Olney.
Right. Okay, so you're near Olney.
I'm like 20 minutes away from Olney.
Oh, okay. But if we drive from downtown Silver Spring, which road do we take?
You can take New Hampshire Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, New Hampshire Avenue north, and then make a right on 198. And then on the right hand side, you will see the old place on the right hand side that is called Spencerville. We have a little tractor, red tractor.
Okay.
On the right, yeah. And a lot of signs. You will see a lot of signs that said Spencerville Deli.
Well, great. Sounds delicious.
Me and I go there for lunch sometimes. I have meetings in your restaurant. You don't know, but I'm there sometimes.
Oh, you been here before?
Yes, of course. I
Really?
live on Norbeck, so Norbeck becomes your 108.
198, yes.
198, yeah, yes.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. I like that place.
Yeah, I'm here most of the time now.
Okay, good to know.
Great.
Right.
Spencerville Deli. We'll be checking it out soon, Mirna.
Please.
Thank you. Gosh.
Thank you. All right. Nice meeting you guys.
Good. Yes, thank you so much. We have time for comments and questions. I have a few minutes if somebody else would like to share or ask a question of our panelists.
Okay.
Oh, I'm hungry. I want it all. I want tamales. I want chili rellenos.
She said like a tamales. I was thinking the same thing. I haven't had one of those boys in so long. I was like, I can share that. And even my cat Alex will want some of that.
Oh, you did a great job.
Great. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for inviting me because I did not know you guys existed. I'm gonna pass the word. I
Right.
do know a few people, you know.
Yes,
Yes.
please join us for more. We do 8 of these and we're probably going to start a 9th one, culinary traditions. And we have our next one will be in European. We do that in December. But we also have African American culinary traditions in February. We have Arab in April. And then in May, we have 2, we have Jewish heritage, a separate one for Jewish heritage. It had started combined with European. And then they asked to do their own. The community members have requested that they have their own, and that happened with the Caribbean group. They broke away. They were in the African diaspora one or Latin American, and now they have their own Caribbean in June. We have AAPI, which is very diverse, you know, the AAPI cuisine. It probably covers, well, it covers African also is huge, which we do in September for African Heritage Month. So these have really taken off, and we do them only virtually so that we can involve more people. So that's the group.
Great.
And we have a different host each time. So I'd like to give a shout out to my mom, Barbara, who's tuning in from right near the border of Mexico and San Diego. I grew up with very good Mexican food. But now that I travel around Mexico, I see there's so many more types of cuisines in Mexico than we even know here. You know, it's so diverse, the food in Mexico. So I think did anyone else have a question or comment before we close for our panelists? Great. Well, I think
Just to say that I told you, everybody, that's so fun, isn't it? To hear all those stories. I always want to participate.
yes. Yes, thank you so much. And I share Yanni's love of churrascaria. Fogo de Chão is in most cities, and I highly recommend the picanha. I'm like starving. I think the only reason people are quiet is because they want me to wrap up so everyone can go to the kitchen.
Yes.
Or Mirna and Miguel should give us your address now. By the time we reach your house, you could cook something for us.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Warn your wife, we're on the way. But anyway, this has been so fun. Thank you to all of our panelists for joining us. We will have a recording of this on Silver Spring Town Center's YouTube page. And please join us again soon for another event with Silver Spring Town Center, including our Veterans Concert with Patty Reese and our SSTCi's 20th anniversary celebration in December. And actually, we're looking for more restaurant sponsors because we're going to have around the world cuisine
Wow.
offer. But we're asking restaurants to donate instead of little tasting tables. And it's a great way to promote the restaurants. So for those of you with connections, we would love your help. We already have several signed up, but we have room for a few more. So get in touch with me, and happy eating, everyone. Muchas
you for having us.
gracias
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
everyone,
Miss
everything.
Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye. Adiós a todos. Un gusto.
Okay, mucho gusto. Adiós.
Adiós.